This is my new and improved portal hub, and in this video I'm going to show you exactly how to build it step by step so that you can recreate it in your own worlds. Before I do, I'll give you a quick tour now just to let you know what to expect. As you can see, I've mainly used Growstone and the Ashwood decorative walls for the exterior walls. Well, I guess also the interior walls because they're both the same. And I've stuck with these stone floors for the flooring inside, creating some nice detail where I thought it was complementary. I really decided to build this because my previous portal hub was created at a time when stone portals were not in the game and ashlands had not been added yet, and it was a little bit too small to incorporate stone portals directly into that build. So I've expanded the size of this build and created 7 walls that you can quite neatly place either regular portals or stone portals against, and there's plenty of space in between if you want to add more portals to suit your own needs. You can see most of the aesthetics of this build comes from the walls themselves, which are made from Growstone and the Ashwood decorative wall pieces, and they are very intricate and look quite complicated, but I'll break it down in a way that's really easy to follow, and the pattern itself is actually repetitive, so once you know how to do a couple of the walls, you can pretty much do the entire build quite easily. By the time you get to the last wall, you've basically ingrained the pattern into your head, and with each wall it gets faster and faster to make. I'm really happy with how this build turned out, hopefully you like it as well. Before we move into the build guide part of the video, I want to take a quick moment to introduce this video's sponsor, War Thunder, the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made. Available now for free on PC, consoles and mobile devices. War Thunder enables you to take command of over 2,500 combat vehicles including tanks, planes, helicopters and warships from the early 20th century to the modern era, providing you a seemingly endless number of combat scenarios to master as a result. The game offers 3 distinct modes to choose from, which provide you with the freedom to dictate your own degree of realism. So whether you enjoy a more fast-paced experience with enhanced vehicle performance and simplified physics, a full simulation mode with complete control of your vehicle, or something in between, War Thunder has something for everyone. No matter what game mode you choose, you're guaranteed to be right at the controls of history's most powerful mechanical warfare machines, each meticulously modelled with realistic graphics and authentic sound effects to immerse you entirely in the battlefield. Sign up for free now using the links in the pinned comment or video description to claim a massive bonus pack including the exclusive Eagle of Valor vehicle decorator, 100,000 silver lions, 7 days of premium membership and more. Valid for all new players and any returning players on PC and consoles that have not played in the last 6 months. So don't miss your chance to claim yours, and thank you again to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. The first thing you'll have to do is clear an area of land around 30 meters by 30 meters. It doesn't need to be too flat because we're going to put stone floors on top which are quite thick, but make it flat enough that you're not going to have any issues building. Then choose what side you want for your entrance. I'm going to choose this side. I always like to choose the side which faces the sun in the middle of the day because I think it looks better having the entrance lit up. And then you're going to create a 4x2 rectangle along the front with the stone floor 2x2s. Once we've marked out the entrance, facing towards where the centre of the build will be, we're going to continue with these stone floor 2x2s by adding a line of 6 adjacent to the entrance. And then from here, we're going to go to the outside edge of those stone floors, rotate twice, and we'll have another line of 6. And again, rotate twice, another line of 6. And we're going to continue doing this until we've done a full loop of the area. Once you're done with the last piece, it should join exactly back at the start. You'll be left with the perimeter of your structure. From here, we'll need to do another loop of the structure just to the inside of what we've done previously. With these little corner sections, either you can leave it like this or you can double up to make it exactly the same on each side and more symmetrical. I'm going to do that. It's going to use a little bit more stone, but I'm a creative right here, so I don't mind. But it's up to you which one you prefer in your own world. Once that's done, you should have a foundation 2 stone floors thick running around the perimeter of the structure. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know that I typically start and finish the foundation before moving on to the walls and of course the roof. However, this build is going to be slightly different because we need to allow enough space for our trees to grow to maturity before we finish the foundation around them. So what I'm going to do here is mark out the locations to plant the trees, and then we're going to move on to the walls. Hopefully by the end of the build, the trees will be fully grown and then we can finish the inside and the foundation. The way in which we're going to mark out the trees is by creating a snap point in the center of one of these stone floors on each side. So either you can do it on the middle left or the middle right stone, but basically we need a snap point so that we can come back in with our stone floor 2x2s and have it go from a grid along this section to a grid in the middle, if that makes sense. Now go around the build and do this for each side. Once you're done, it should look like this. We can switch back to the wood beam 2 meters, and we're just going to snap it onto the corners here in the direction of the one adjacent to it. So you can see like this, we're just going to move around, get them as close to joining as we can to the one next to it. Do this all the way around the build, and then what we're going to do is come in, grab the tree of your choice. I'm going to go with birch because I feel like it's the most aesthetic and the size of it just works the best in this build. And then go back around in each of these joints, just try and center it as best as you can. Place down a birch sapling. And you'll see once we've got them in place, it's going to say that each of them needs more room to grow. So that means we need to go back and start removing some of these build elements that we've placed in earlier to allow space for these birch trees to grow. So we're going to remove all of the wooden beams and the most central stone floors. Once you've removed all of the placement building pieces, just make sure that each of the sapling are healthy enough to grow, because you don't want to have to redo the step later, or you're going to have to just tear back some of the work you've already put in. Not the end of the world, but it's going to be a little bit annoying. From here we can move on to the walls. I'm going to start with the entrance and grab myself ashwood decorative walls. Now the entrance wall is probably the easiest to do. We're going to start with a 3x2 rectangle of ashwood decorative walls at each side of the entrance face, leaving 2 blocks in the middle for the doors. From here I'm going to create a snap point in the middle of one of these decorative walls for the ashwood decorative window, and I can remove that snapping point. Do the same on the other side, and then using the groused and small pillars, I'm going to put in a little bit of decoration. So we'll go 4 high here, grab the groused and small arch, and place in a little decorative pattern to make this look a little bit more interesting. If you have the spare grousting and your foundation is slightly sticking out of the ground like this, what you can do is just make sure that you're taking that all the way down so there's no discontinuities in your build, and then we should have something like this. I'm now going to put in the main groused and medium pillars. We'll go in the center, we'll go 5 high, and then we can snap in the door arch later. Do the same on the outer corner of this face. And then we have the groused and medium arch locked into the top. Then we'll come 1 down from that, and we'll place in another one, and that's going to be for the doors. Repeat the exact same on the other side. And again, if you have any discontinuities with these pillars, just make sure that you're taking them all the way down to the floor level. From here, I'm going to grab the groused and wall arch inverted. I'm going to select the bottom snapping point and lock it onto the bottom of this small groused and pillar. Do that on both sides, grab a medium arch, and we'll lock in at the top of this medium groused and pillar, something like this. Of course, we're going to be doing the same on the other side. And then to finish off the entrance, I'm going to be using the flame metal gates, just because I almost never get a chance to use them, and with a big grand building like this, I feel like it's the perfect time to do it. So you see, it looks very complicated, but when you break it down step by step and you know the design you're going to do, it actually is pretty easy. Hopefully you found that stage okay. Now since we're doing the entrance, I'm just going to basically finish it off here with the stone stairs. I'm going to go around and place down 2 stone stairs on the smaller sides, 4 on the longer sides. We'll have a stone floor 2x2 in the corners, and then just to decorate this a little bit, I've decided to go with the groused and tapered pillar. Let's try and get a bottom center locking point. Might need to just create the snapping point for this interior one. And then you can basically choose whatever you want here. Something that might work, I think the iron fire pit looks good. Also the ward is probably a pretty cool thing to put in. Since this build is symmetrical, everything we're going to be doing it on both sides. So make sure you're doing that for the other side too. Okay, other than the entrance, every other wall will be one of two different variants. And it's going to go type 1, type 2, type 1, type 2, all the way around until it's back to type 1 again. And then you have the entrance. So I'm going to show you how to do each type of wall one time, and then you should just replicate that around the build until you're done. So starting off with type 1, that's the one directly adjacent to the entrance. I'm going to start by creating some snapping points using the wood beam meter. So place one at the end of each side. I'll grab the Gaussian small pillar and go up by 4 places. Same on this side. And then at the top, I'll grab the Gaussian small arch and just link that back into the main pillar here and come out the other side. So I've just moved on to the other side because I think it's going to be easier to visualize here. I'm going to create another snap point just inside of these small pillars here. And here we're going to place in a Gaussian wall 4x2, spreading along the 4 stone floors in the centre. Going to remove all these snapping points now. We'll move on to the Gaussian wall arch inverted. We're going to basically just outline the shape that we're going to have the Gaussian medium pillars follow later. To fill in the main body, I'm going to use the ashwood decorative walls again, snapping onto this point here. We'll come up 3, and we'll have 2 more just above the Gaussian walls here. At this stage, I just need to create another snap point. So we're going to have this slightly staggered for the middle section. We'll have another 2x2 like this. And then on the other side, we'll do the exact same as what we've done over here. Just like we did at the front entrance, we're going to have the ashwood decorative window at the top, and we can remove the snapping point, and then simply follow the outlines we've already set with the Gaussian medium pillars. So we'll have a bottom centre in the middle and on either end of the Gaussian wall, medium arch, and then for this middle section we'll go back to the Gaussian medium pillars. We'll take a bottom lock point at the top of both of these arches. We'll go up by 2 on either side, back to the Gaussian medium arch, and you can see that once we've placed them in, all the detail is pretty much there. Going to go back to the Gaussian small arch and just finish off the detail at the sides. So we're arching back down, link the small pillar back into the medium pillar, same on the other side. And then with the Gaussian small beam, we'll just tie off the top of this wall section here. I also want to have some detail in the middle here, so I'm just going to use these small pillars and these small arches to make a little pattern. And I'm just going to make sure that this is linked back into the medium pillars again, just for the structural integrity. On the outside, this will kind of depend on how high up your foundation is compared to the ground, but you can see that mine still has some space here, and there's some discontinuities between what I've already placed on the inside and what I can see on the outside. So I'm going to come in with the Gaussian medium arch. I'm going to link it into the bottom of the medium pillars I've already set, making sure it's snapping into the center and not to the edge, so snapping just here. And then I will just make sure that all of these pillars are coming down to the ground level. Coming back to detail now, I'm going to place in a Gaussian small pillar at the top of the first medium arches, and I'm going to have it so it's sort of sticking out from the main build. I'm going to build this all the way down to the floor, so that's now supported from the bottom, and then I can remove these 3, place in the small arch like this, Do the same on this side. And then I think it looks good with the Verger wall lantern, just placing them in there like this. So it looks good on the outside, and on the inside this is where I'm going to have my regular portals, and they're just going to go in there, but I will show you those sections later. So that's type 1, and they can go in all of these locations that I've already marked. And we're going to move on to type 2 now. So for type 2 I'm going to start off with the Gourston wall arch inverted, and I'm just going to start off in this section here at this lock point. What I want to do is basically create this arch, which is going to be the filler space underneath the medium arches. I'm going to do this at either side of the build. And then I'm going to have the Gourston wall 4x2, that's going to go along flush with the foundation level. We'll have another one just above that, and then finish that off with the Gourston wall arch inverted on the top. From here it's going to be quite similar to what we did at the entrance. I'm going to use the ashwood decorative walls and create a little 3x2 pattern, 3 high and 2 wide. Do the same on this side. For just above the middle section I'll need to create another snap point so that I can lock it in just halfway down, something like this. Take out that snap point again. Then from here I think we're in a pretty good spot just to place down all of the Gourston beams. So let's start with the Gourston medium arches, locking in from the top points on these curved walls. From here we'll grab the Gourston medium pillars. Let's take a bottom center locking point, and every 2 stone floors we'll place one down. And then we can switch now to some other sort of bottom locking point. We'll go 5 high. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all of these need to go 5 high. Similarly to before, we need to create a middle snapping point on these outer sides for the ashwood decorative window. We're going to have the Gourston medium arches on the outside ones, like this. Same again on the opposite side, and then we'll have the Gourston small beams running along the top here like this, with a couple of the arches moving in and out to create this little pattern. Middle one also needs the Gourston medium arch like this, and then just like we did at the side of the entrances, we're going to have the small Gourston pillars for a little bit of detail, with the small arches coming off. Same on the other side. I think that looks good. We'll just double check the exterior side. You can see here there's some discontinuity with the floor, so I'm just going to make sure that all of these are coming straight down where they need to be. Take the medium arch and just keep this pattern going up and down and up and down, and then like we did on the type 1 face, we're going to have the Gourston small pillar down to the floor level. Again, that's just protruding a little bit. Make sure this arch is in the right place. Switch to the small arches, remove these sort of placement pieces, and place these in the Verger wall lantern up top like this. Okay, so I've now shown you how to do the entrance wall, the type 1 wall and the type 2 wall. All you need to do now is repeat type 1 and type 2 all the way around the structure until you get back to the start. So hopefully if you've done the same, your build looks exactly like mine's does right now. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all of these little signposts that I created to indicate the wall types. And at this stage you really just have to wait for the birch trees to grow. So I'm going to skip the time ahead for this. You can see now that all of my birch trees have grown. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the wood beam 1 meter and start creating my snapping points for my middle paths. So basically all I'm doing here is taking the middle 2 stone floors of each side, creating a snap point in the middle, and then what I'm going to go do is go around the outside again and change this from a double path into a single path. So go ahead, extend all of these single paths into a 4x1 strip, and then to create that interesting little pattern in the middle, I basically want to take the stone floors, and instead of rotating until it just hits this corner like this, I'm going to go 1 extra. And then I'm going to do this on both sides like this. So I'm basically just going around doing this for each stage. And once you've done this for each path, you're going to end up with a really interesting little design in the middle, which I think just sort of adds to the style of it. You can see here, it's just like this. And then to find the middle point of this little shape we've created, I'm going to put a snapping point in the middle of one of these sides, extend out by a wood beam 2 meter, and then I'm going to use the Grouston medium pillar from a top blocking point, but not the top center, and just place it in here like this. Probably make this around 3 high with a Grouston tapered pillar on the top. And since we're here, we might as well just fill in these Diverger wall lanterns on each side. I also added a little bit more style to the stone floor paths here, so we're going to come from the first of the single path, and we're basically going to have this diagonal going back into the path going around the outside, just to make it look a little bit more gradual from the double thickness path around the outside into the single thickness path. All we need to really do now is go around with our portals and stone portals. You know, obviously adapt this build however you feel fit, but this is just the way that I've built it. I'm going to have all of these sides, so I think this would be the type 1 sides with the regular portals. And once you're done with that, you can switch to the stone portals. I like to try and push it as far back into the wall as possible. Just drag it forward until it's going to place somewhere around here maybe. There we go. Have it on the back wall of the build as well, and then also on this side. Now at this point I kind of had to play around with the lighting in the evening. What I found was that the Diverger pole lantern in between the 2 regular portals works quite nicely. I'll typically put a Diverger wall lantern behind the stone portals, and then just sort of sporadically around the build I'll add in some of these Diverger wall lanterns just sort of next to the paths here. There's not really any method to these ones, I'm just kind of placing them where I think would look good. And then I do like to place a Diverger pole lantern on either side of the entrance here as well. Last but not least, I'm going to go around with the cultivator and place in some grass. And there we have it, a beautiful new portal hub with plenty of space for the regular and stone portals. If you made it this far, you now know how to build it for yourself. Thanks again to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Sign up for free now using the links in the pinned comment or video description to claim a massive bonus pack including the exclusive Eagle of Valor vehicle decorator, 100,000 silver lions and more. Valid for all new players and any returning players on PC and consoles that have not played in the last 6 months. If you'd like your own copy of this world file, you can find it on my Patreon page alongside my other builds, and if you're looking for other players to play with or a free dedicated server to join my Discord server for more details. All links in the video description. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.